Toby the tram engine loves working along the Farquhar branch line. The passengers and villagers found him quaint and unique, although some consider him to be old-fashioned. Toby didn't care though. He knew others loved him for who he is, and he often rings his bell to anybody who says hello to him as he passed by. But there are times he gets quite annoyed by the rude remarks of him being old, especially from Harry and Bert. He often met them at the junction when they were collecting trackside scrap for the smelters with Harvey. Old and ancient. I don't know why the fathead has this old claptrap on this railway. Yeah, time to join the railway museum, you wooden boxy teapot. You're old as well, replied Toby. The two diesels fumed at Toby's response, but before they could say anything else, the tram engine puffed away. When he wakes up in the morning, Toby's first job of the day is to take workmen to the quarry, ready for their work. But today, things are going to be different. The Fat Controller had sent Toby to the big station to collect some workmen and a train of dynamite with some empty trucks to blast some rocks. At the quarry, some fallen rock and stones had been placed into trucks. Mavis and Rosie shunted them into sidings or to the top station, so engines like Thomas or Stanley could take them to be shipped at the harbour. But later in the day, there was trouble. Rosie didn't know that a fallen stone had damaged one of the rails. But it was too late for the shunting engine. "Help!" she cried as she fell into the river. Mavis raced to the scene, but her driver didn't put the brakes on in time, and she also fell into the river. Help soon arrived, but the quarry manager was very annoyed. "This is unacceptable. We have so many trucks to fill, and I need 2 engines to shunt the trucks about. I suggest 3 engines to get the job done sooner than expected. Joby is a good engine when it comes to shunting." "Alright, but we need 2 more engines." "I know who," he exclaimed, and with all the arrangements made and the damaged rail being replaced, Harry and Bert made their way to the quarry. When they arrived, they saw Toby pulling trucks into position so that the fallen rock and stone could be loaded. "Well, well, well! The boxy teapot can shunt only 4 trucks. That's just a soft job for an engine like him. Watch this." "Take that." Toby sighed, and he kept on doing his work. Later in the day, everyone went on a break, and Toby met up with Stanley at the top station. "Hello, Toby. How are you?" "Oh, I feel annoyed because of 2 idiotic scrap diesels who wouldn't stop teasing me because of my age. A lesson is ought to be learnt for them." "Well, you can get hot-headed at times, Toby. Like that time you got annoyed with Thomas for faking an illness? So I heard. I say don't get them a reaction. That's what they want. Toby knew that Stanley was right. So when their break was over, Toby carried on with his work, despite the two diesels taunting him. As the sun was setting, Toby puffed into the quarry with a last load of empty trucks. He saw Ari and Bert resting in the siding near the hopper. But what they didn't know was that some workmen were about with their final blasting for the day. 3, 2, 1! The three engines were given quite a shock from the impact. They then heard a rumble. Toby knew straight away that it was bound to cause some trouble for the two diesels. "Look out!" he cried and bumped them hard. Luckily, Ari and Bert rolled towards the sheds, and Toby's crew dashed out of his cab. But unluckily for Toby, he was buried in the fallen rocks. Ari and Bert were silent when the event stopped. Workmen raced to the scene, and the Fat Controller was called immediately, soon after arriving on board Stanley. He walked towards the two diesels and asked them what had happened. Before they could reply, the workmen came forward and admitted it was their fault for not checking the site beforehand. "Well, next time check, don't assume." The rocks were cleared away, and now Toby could see. "He saved us. We owe him." "I quite agree. I have heard about your teasing towards Toby, and you two will have to look after the trucks for him until he gets back from the works." And so they did. After the blasting, Mavis and Rosie returned from the works along with Toby. Ari and Bert were at the top station making their way home. "Thank you for saving us from the blast, Toby, and we're sorry for causing trouble," Ari said sadly. "We won't tease you again after what you've done for us," added Bert. "You are a very useful engine." "No worries. Even though you've caused trouble to me in the past, I can't hold a grudge against you for good." And so the two scrap diesels made their way home with a newfound respect for Toby the Brave.